I calls it like I sees it. And I sees it like I calls it. What? Dating adventure tales with Chrissy. Chrissy's gonna talk about her horrible dates. Dating adventure tales with Chrissy. Living life alone might be a horrible fate. Please let me know if you have a brother who doesn't do drugs and is nice to his mother. And a few other qualities would be great, but we can talk about that later in the next Dating Adventure Tales with Chrissy. Please send Michael B. Like now. Go get him. Hi! Welcome back to my channel and the first installment of Dating Adventure Tales with Chrissy. And I am here to share all of the knowledge and not knowledge, all of the mistakes that have turned into knowledge that have grown me as a human being person. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Okay, I will just start off by saying I should probably change people's names, which I'm gonna do because I don't want anybody saying that I was mean and horrible to them and then have video evidence to support that. I will just, well, first of all, I am not gonna be mean and horrible to anyone because that is just, okay, maybe it is a little bit my style, but I will definitely keep it cute. You know, we gotta keep it cute, so we're keeping it cute over here. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so first guy, I will call him Nick, and I met Nick on Bumble. Nick is white, he was 27, and I believe his profile was, I think it said he was a performer, or it could have been like a lighting design, and or it could have been a number of things, but we'll get into that. But yeah, I can't remember specifically what it was, but he did mention that he was a performer while we were talking or messaging back and forth. He asked me, or he just messaged me, hey, let's go out, and I was like, cool. So we made arrangements. He like had this spreadsheet list, not really a spreadsheet, but it was a long list of restaurants that he had heard about and that he wanted to try. So he was like, hey, look at this and tell me which ones pique your interest. By the way, I really would like to try such and such, such and such, and such and such. And so I was like, okay, let's do this Ethiopian restaurant because I've never had Ethiopian food and I like trying things, so let's go there. So then he was like, cool, because that was kind of one that he really wanted to go to anyway, that he was hinting towards. So we go there. We have a date scheduled for 6:30, I believe. And I get there super early because I like to scope out where things are and figure out if I will be shot or mugged or something like that. And just to like be safe of those, you know, and aware of those things, which are my surroundings. So I get there very early and I like find a parking spot on the strip, and I'm like, good, secured, I feel like I'm ready now, and I have 30 minutes to wait. So I'm waiting in the car for a while, then at about, I don't know, 6:15 or something, I go in. I get a table, it's right by the door. And we had not exchanged phone numbers at this time, so when I think I just messaged him like, or he sent me a text and he was like, yeah, well, I'll be there and I will wait outside for you or whatever. And I think I messaged him back. I did. And I was like, okay, I'm in here and I'm going to get us a table, or I have a table for us. So I did not see him, but I saw this guy outside and he was just like standing outside and he was like looking kind of like he was waiting for someone, and I was like, I wonder if that's him. So then I look at my phone, and sure enough, he had sent me a message in Bumble that had not, you know, popped up notification problems, whatever. And so I was like, oh, yep. So I messaged him. I was like, hey, I'm inside. Come on in. So then he comes in, and then I'm just like, ooh, he cute. And so I was like, good that I was not catfished. And that's number one. Like, that's great. Because that's not fun when you do get catfished. But anyway, so he comes in and it's like an awkward, you know, first date thing that happened. And then he sits down. He is super like dehydrated for some reason. Like, he seems like super tired and dehydrated, and like as soon as he sits down, and then he like just gulps down all of this water whenever the waitress comes by. And yeah, that's just the thing that I noticed. But to begin with the conversation, I mean, we were both nervous, but you know, sometimes I'm able to be like, go get her and like start conversations. Sometimes, not all the time. But this particular day I was like, hey, I'm going to get the ball rolling here. And so I was asking him a bunch of different things. Once he like got started, it was no stopping him, because he was just like on a roll with all the things that he was talking about. I mentioned that he listed on his profile that he was a performer. So he also, through the conversations, I learned that he was also doing like a dance class, and he was trying to transition into that, and he was doing lighting and tech design as well, and that he just kind of listed off what he had been, you know, doing. And I wasn't hungry. I did not order a bunch. I just like ordered an appetizer, and I didn't even eat all of that. He ate like half of that, and then like he got this big entree plate. And you know, like when they bring out the food, it's on this, I don't know what type of like flatbread that it is, or what it's called. I don't remember, but it was like a huge, you know, plate, and he like demolished all of that, and I was just like, that was a lot. And then also it was pretty, like some of the stuff was pretty spicy, so it just added to him like drinking so much water. But one of the observations that I made while the waitress brought out the food, and I was like, oh wow, that looks really good. I wonder how they like make this bread. And then he was like, oh, you know, just like a cup of sugar and 2 scoops of this and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, whoa, I didn't know that you like were a chef. And he was like, oh yeah, I took like culinary school for whatever. And I was just like when did you? There were so many things. There were just so many things that he said that he had done, and it was just a whole bunch of stuff. So, but it was interesting, to say the least. But he was kind of coming off as a bit braggadocious in that first segment of the date, because he was just like, the first 30 minutes of us meeting was definitely, the conversation was about what he was doing. but also I think that it was coming from just certain insecurities that he had, because he was like, well, in high school, you know, I was bullied, and that's how I got into bodybuilding, and that's why, you know, I became a bodybuilder. And so I was like, okay. So he's a bodybuilder too. So there was just a bunch of things, but I could be more forgiving of it, because I just thought that it was natural to compensate for insecurities like that, because that's what people do. So yeah. Anywho, like I said, for the first like 30 minutes, he was talking about himself, and I was like still asking him questions. I was still like, and what happened next? And how did that happen? And when did that come to be? And how long were you in this? And like, I was just keeping it rolling for him to talk. But then he was like, oh yeah, you know, I'm talking too much. How about you? Finally, the how about you question. Then he was like, hey, what show are you in? Because we were talking about that, and I was at the time in For Color Girls, or I had just finished For Color Girls. And so I was just telling him about that show, and finally we were kind of having an equal footing in the conversation. He definitely was always bringing back the conversation to himself. I definitely felt like once he started to engage, it wasn't as unequal anymore. Yeah. So after he pays for dinner, and I'm like, okay, we're done, going home. And he's like, hey, you want to go for a walk? And I was like, here's the thing. So I'm in sandals, and I wasn't prepared to take like a brisk walk or anything, but like, I guess it's fine if we're just gonna be like a leisure, you know, stroll or whatever. Okay, fine. And it's still, you know, light out, and it's the place was like on the strip, so I was like, okay, sure. So we take this walk, and while we're walking, he is like stretching his back out, and then he's just like, oh man, those dancing exercises were intense. And then I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. And he's like, oh, you know, my back is a little tight. And I was like, oh, well, like, we don't have to walk really far. And he was like, oh, no, I could walk for miles. And I was like, but I don't want to walk for miles. But we don't have to walk that far, right? So we're just walking, and he's talking to me about, you know, dancing and stuff, and sometimes he'll occasionally like stop and do like a move or something, or show me something. And then I'm like, okay. So then we keep walking, and there's this park over here, and he's like, hey, why don't we walk through the park? And I was like, whoa. That park is huge, and less people there. I don't want to go in the park like this. Like, I don't know who you are. But you gotta be vigilant. And so I was like, ooh, okay, you know what? I'm seeing like some people coming in and out of the park. Okay, fine. But we will only do like a small loop within this park, and I will be leading us through this park, because I'm just gonna be like, you're not taking me someplace crazy. So we go through this park, and then he starts talking about just different things. He started talking about his religious background, and he said that he grew up Catholic, and he was saying, I can't remember because it was so long ago, but he said that he wasn't really super religious. more spiritual side. And then he started talking to me about his upbringing and all of the Catholic masses that he had to go to all the time. And he was just like, yeah, you know, I went to so many masses, and then I was just like, sometimes I just would go to a Spanish mass just to spice things up. And then I'd be like, oh yeah, well, I bet you didn't understand any of that. And he was like, ¿Cómo estás, señorita? Blah, blah, blah. That was my best Spanish. It's not good. And I was just like, are you ever not on? Is that a thing with you, Nick? That you just keep like it up? It's just like heightened. And I was like, okay, cool. Proven wrong. Noted. And challenge accepted, and beast at that challenge. We go on, and then he's talking, and he's like, yeah, he's just saying random facts that he knows and all this random knowledge, and then he starts talking about D&D, because apparently every man in America plays D&D. I didn't know. This is news, but you know, now I know. I can't get away from it, apparently. So he started talking about D&D, and he was like, yeah, I think everybody should play because it's or every performer should play because it's really good experience, and it teaches you all these accents and characterizations and skills and things like that. I was like, yeah, that sounds interesting. And then he started doing a bunch of characters. Yeah, he just like broke out into different characters, different accents. And I was just like, this is really weird. This is a weird time, but I did enjoy them. They were funny. He was funny. So by this time, we are back. I have led us back to safety on the strip, and I was like, okay, well, I'm headed to the car. And then he, you know, starts dropping hints, and he's just like, you know what? I could really go for a cup of coffee. That would be really swell. I was like, I don't know about this. But then we passed this gelato place that I have been to, and it is very good. And I was like, they also have coffee. And I was like, I could go for ice cream. Okay, I'll get the ice cream. So then I was like, okay, let's go in here. We go, and he gets us some, well, I think he got ice cream and coffee, and I just got some of the gelato. And it was delicious. And I was very content. And I was like chilling, and I was kind of like mellowing down even more than what I was. Because I was just like, you know, eating my gelato, and then he was just like talking, and I was just like, this is good for me. I'm like okay right now. I mean, because I have this that I'm eating. He starts, you know, on a tangent about all of these different things. And so I'm just listening, and I'm eating, and then, you know, I'm like staying engaged and just like listening, eating. And then what happened? Yes, that's very interesting. How did that come to be? Things like that. So I must have like done some hand gesture, and then all of a sudden he stops everything that he's doing. And then he just goes like, and I was like, what's happening? And he says, oh, I thought that you knew sign language. You just gestured to me. And I was like, oh, nope, I don't. And then he was like, yeah, oh wow, let me tell you all about it. So then he went into this probably about 30 minutes, and that's me like being, you know, gracious. But he went on about it and for a while, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And he like taught me some things, but I don't remember. I was eating ice cream, so I was just kind of like, okay, go ahead. Just go ahead. I'm good right here. I'm perfectly fine. So he goes on that tangent. Then he gets into another one about, so naturally I'm pretty soft-spoken, and so I was, you know, mellowing out, and I just was like, and then he was like, what? I'm sorry, what was that? Huh? And then I was like, oh, sorry, I was just like talking low. And he was like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I just lost part of my hearing in this ear doing aqua theater. And so then I was like, what's that all about? Let's hear that story, while I was eating ice cream. And then he proceeded to tell me those stories, and which was like another, I don't know, 20 minutes or something. And he also started talking about equal pay for actors and crew, and the pay disparages within that, unions and stuff like that. So it was just a bunch of like educational things that I was just learning the whole time. I was just learning. He would just like random information. He would be like, yeah, you know, they don't have metal in Japan and they have to make it themselves, and here's how they do it. And then I'm just like, wow, that's a lot of information. By golly, I don't remember a lick of it. But it was very interesting. I'm done with my gelato, and I am like really tired now, and I'm just like, let's like stop this now. I would like to go home. So I was like, yeah, I'm really tired, but this was fun, thanks. He walks me to my car, and then he gives me a hug, and then I was like, okay, see you later. And then he's like, oh wait, I didn't get your number. And so then we exchanged phone numbers, and then he's like, all right, one more hug. And I was like, ah! And then I get in my car, and then I go home, and that was the end of the date. After that, we talked a little bit, maybe for maybe like another month or so, maybe, just on and off. And we were supposed to, I think we had set up another date at one point, but something happened, I don't remember, and it was pushed back and then never rescheduled. So then he was texting me, and he was kind of talking a lot about, you know, what he wanted to do with his these careers and things, and he was just kind of venting to me. So I guess I kind of felt like I had become the therapist, but it's okay. Because sometimes I wrote myself into those situations anyway. They're just like venting to me because I'm listening, and maybe most people don't listen to them, I guess. So I don't know. So that just kind of fizzled out, and that was the end of that. Well, that's the end of my story. Let me know in the comments below if you have had any instances where your date is just dancing in the middle of the street, or doing funny accents, or telling you about knowledge that you immediately forgot. Okay, comment below. I love to hear from you. Please like, share, and subscribe if your heart moves you to, and I will see you later. Bye!